Are you cutting back for the Christmas holiday? And if so, how? Jim Walsh here for Super Talk 1270. Your comments welcome at jim.walsh@townsquaremedia.com. The economy is really not that great this year. No matter how much the Kevin Kramers of this world would like to pretend that everything is just ducky with the current administration, the fact is that here in our Peace Garden state, things are really not that good for a lot of people. Things are kind of crappy, and they have been for several years. You know, we had the big boom with the oil thing a few years ago, and then the bottom kind of fell out of that. And a few people are still gainfully employed, making a pretty decent hunk of change doing the oil thing out in the Bakkens. But a lot of people are kind of caught in the middle right now because they didn't benefit job-wise from the oil boom, yet they are having to deal with the hike in the cost of living that we've all had to deal with because of this oil boom, which is now a bust. So for a lot of people this year, my wife and I are among them, and maybe you are too, things are not going that well. We're just kind of muddling through and hoping that next year won't suck as much. And I'm not a slouch, you know. I've got several degrees. I've got a master's degree in business and a degree in marketing. You would think, I like to think of myself as a reasonably intelligent fellow. You would think that somebody with that kind of background would be able to write his own ticket in this environment, but apparently not. And it's not just me. I'm not just saying poor me. A lot of folks out there are in the same boat. If you are, I would love very much to hear how you're dealing with it. Oh, what about Christmas? Now, for my wife and me, it's kind of easy because we don't have any small children in the immediate family. We have nieces and nephews, and the families are getting cards anyway. But basically, for my wife and I, we got this idea from an episode of Family Guy a couple of years ago where they were talking about how rough Christmas Eve can be with all the over-commercialization, whatnot, and the expense of shopping and the hassle and everything else, feeling obligated to buy presents for everybody on the planet. And finally, somebody came up with the brilliant idea of going with one present per person, one gift. My wife gets a nice gift from me. I get a nice gift from her. I already know what it is. Nothing outrageously expensive. And there's a nice gift for the two of us, which we actually enjoyed the other night. We had a nice dinner together at one of our favorite local restaurants. That is our Christmas in a nutshell. And we are fine with it. We're not little children here. We've got our little tree in the house, and we've got some goodies we're going to enjoy with the cats. We have two cats. My wife has an adult son who we will be in touch with. We won't see him on Christmas Day, but we'll be in touch with him. And he's okay with that. He does his own thing, and we're doing our thing. But the thing is, we have willfully and happily scaled back Christmas considerably. But it's not like a lot of folks have had a choice in the matter. They've got to do it anyway because of the sucky condition, certain aspects of this ridiculous economy. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Isn't it great? I remember a couple of years ago when that nut job Hannity, when that hack came into town, and at this very studio where I'm sitting right now, he sat here, did an afternoon show where he talked about how North Dakota is becoming the capitalist utopia thanks to this oil boom. Haven't heard from Sean lately. I might like to get his take on what's happening here. I'm sure he'll find some way to blame it on Obama or Clinton or Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, right, pal. Sure. Yeah, it's all their fault. It's all them guys with the D's next to their name, even though none of them have been remotely in charge in this part of the country in decades. Hey, you realize the last time North Dakota went for a Democrat for president was 1964? That's right. Good old Lyndon Johnson, jug-eared sage of the South. He was the last guy with a D next to his name to get the 3 electoral votes from the Peace Garden state for president. Every election since, it's been a Republican. So when our local politicos blame everything that's wrong with our society on the Democrat, and I'm not a Democrat, I'm an independent. You know, I don't have a horse in this race one way or the other. I think they're all crooks. But when the people in charge here in North Dakota, a state where basically, as Joel Heitkamp, a friend of mine, said, you know, you could take a can of baked beans and put an R on it and run it for election, and it would get elected because of the R. That's how ridiculous it is in this state. So I've always said, if you want to change anything in this state, you got to start voting for Democrats. Why? I'm not crazy about Democrats, but you got to have at the very least, you got to start with a 2-party system. There's got to be somebody out there to kind of counteract what the other guy's doing and keep each other honest. You know what I mean? We don't have that here. We've got basically a 1-party system, and they do whatever the hell they want. And when things get bad, they just blame it on the other guy. But the other guy had nothing to do with it because the other guy has no power in this godforsaken state. But back to the issue at hand here, Christmas. In our sucky economy, how are you dealing with it? I would like to hear your take on the issue. And tell me if you don't agree with me that as an adult, if you got kids, I suppose it's one thing. But as an adult, we're abiding by pretty much by the one gift rule. You get one gift. I get one gift. My wife gets one gift. The kids each get one gift. One is enough. I think that's a very healthy thing for people to get used to, regardless of the economy. Now, you tell me how you feel about that. Give me your thoughts on the subject here. You can reach me online anytime. Your comments welcomed and appreciated at supertalk1270.com.